80-94 westbound is heavy this morning with roadwork delays at Grant, Kennedy. It's 28 minutes from the toll road to the Bishop Ford, 15 minutes eastbound. Kennedy Expressway, 45 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, quicker than the Express. Eisenhower, 37 minutes from 390. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, cloudy, humid, maybe a thunderstorm this afternoon, high 81. Currently a very sticky 73. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy J this morning is John K., as in John Cass. JohnCassNews.com, sign up, new column today. We're probably going to get to that about 8:30. You want to stay tuned, we'll talk a little bit about crime. But now we need to talk about the latest pronouncements from Utah Senator Philippe Pétain. He was on...
Wait, what was his fake name? Pepe Le Pew? No. Lafarge something.
No.
Something ridiculous and
Carlos
perfect.
Danger.
No. That was somebody. that was the Priapic aid.
Priapic.
I wanted to play Dan Proft here. The Priapic aid to some New York.
What the heck? Well.
Anyway, whatever.
Pierre Delecto.
Yeah, Pierre
Delecto.
Pierre Delecto. Take your Jell-O that you eat out in Utah and enjoy it.
Philippe Pétain, Pierre Delecto. I mean, who can remember?
Pierre Delecto.
So anyway, he was on with Jake Tapper in his incredibly shrinking audience on CNN over the weekend, singing the praises of one Joe Biden. Look, I mean, if you can't trust Joe Biden after 50 years of robust intellectual consistency on the range of topics.
Put y'all in chains.
Right. If you can't trust him, who can you trust? Mitt Romney on the infrastructure deal. Will Republicans be able to salvage a leftist victory from the perils of defeat?
So President Biden originally said if your compromise plan is the only bill that comes to his desk, quote, I'm not signing it. But then yesterday he issued a lengthy statement saying he supports the deal and it was certainly not his intent to issue the veto threat. Is that good enough for you? Do you buy his new explanation?
Well, I do take the president at his word, and over the weeks and weeks of negotiations with Democrats and with the White House on an infrastructure bill, the president's other agenda was never linked to the infrastructure effort. We came to an agreement on the infrastructure effort in a way that I think is really impressive. As you know, it is true infrastructure. Bridges, roads, rail, electric utility support, and so forth, and without raising taxes. And so this is a bill which stands on its own. I am totally confident the president will sign it if it comes to his desk. The real challenge is whether the Democrats can get their act together and get it on his desk. And I think the battle that's going on is not with Republicans. Republicans are going to support true infrastructure that doesn't raise taxes. But Democrats want to do a lot of other things, and I think they're the ones that are having a hard time deciding how to proceed. I do trust the president.
I tell you what.
Outside of the I do trust the president, the other stuff, was that out of the pale?
Let me tell you why.
Dan Proft will tell me.
Well, first of all,
beyond the pale.
Who needs Reparation H to cast tie-breaking votes when you have Republican senators like Mitt Romney? The whole and the most insult. Well, there's two things. One, this is Bain Capital guy, and you're going to spend $1 trillion without raising taxes. What is borrowing? It's a backdoor tax increase. So spare me, Bain Capital. Number 3.
Can't we just borrow some more money from China?
Or print it?
Right.
That's also without a tax increase. And number 3, the most insulting thing, then he pretends like he's a one of our partisan fighters. The Democrats can't get their act together because we're willing to spend $1 trillion. Hey, take the $1 trillion and let's all declare victory. Oh, I mean, really, you want to speed to oblivion? If you're a Republican or a conservative in this country, then you get on the Mitt Romney train, and it'll be a bullet train too. It costs about $100 billion, as California found out. For more on all this, pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author, target of NSA spying. We don't know. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. By the way, this is the most atrocious bill. I estimate about 25 cents out of every dollar, so about 250 to 300 billion out of the 1.2 trillion is what most people would consider real infrastructure, building roads and fixing bridges and tunnels and airports. Almost all the rest of it is this green energy crap.
Wait a minute, the Romney bill?
We don't dare call it the Green New Deal. But here's my point in listening to what you guys were just saying. If Republicans were half sane, they would be talking about how we could cut $1 trillion out of the budget, not add another $1 trillion. The debt is out of control in Washington. It's like mad cow disease when you've got Republicans. I mean, basically, folks, here's the situation. Joe Biden comes in with this ridiculous $6 trillion spending initiative with $2 trillion for infrastructure. And these skinpoint Republicans say, no, we're not going to do $2 trillion. We're going to only do $1.2 trillion.
Well, right. And so, what is the thinking? We know what the thinking is. We want to play the same game as the Democrats,
we're
which
just
is
a little cheaper than there. We're just a little cheaper than there.
Right.
And by the way, I mean, there's so much bad stuff in here. I just want to point out one because it got headlines yesterday. It's in the newspapers today. But just to give you a sense of how crazy Washington is now, they want to build 600,000 electric vehicle charging stations paid for by taxpayers. By the way, Dan, I don't think the taxpayers ever paid for gasoline stations around the country, right? Mm-hmm. Why in the world is it the taxpayers' responsibility to pay for people to charge up their EVs, which, by the way, we're going to subsidize people by $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 Teslas?
Well, all we hear is, hey, look, this is a job creator, even though Tax Foundation finds it to be a job loser. And this is about building back better, Steve. And you had ADP this morning, 692,000 jobs expectedly created in June, which beat the street expectations. If that holds up, we'll find out on Friday. But, it's all going well. We just need a little bit more spending. You know what? Maybe another round of COVID relief checks after this.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right, and that's they're coming. By the way, they've got the $3,000 per child payment on top of the $2,000 per person. We already sent people the helicopter money, plus the $300 a week unemployment benefits, plus the rental assistance that they've just extended in many states, so you don't have to pay your rent. And then they've got the food stamps, and then they've got. I mean, this is just. It's amazing that anybody's working, frankly. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're driving to work right now, thank God for you, because you've got people probably making more money sitting on their duff watching Netflix on their couch, making more than you are because of all these ridiculous government assistance programs. But I want to go back to my main point. In a sane world right now, we would be cutting government spending by at least $1 trillion. We don't need massive new spending. COVID is over. It's over. Done. Trump beat it with the vaccine. We can cut government spending now and move back to normal. Instead, Biden obviously is using what's the old expression by your good friend Rahm Emanuel. Remember, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. Well, the crisis is over. They're still not wasting it.
I'd rather go with United Negro College Fund, which is a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and we seem to be wasting that too.
In the
that's a great point too.
You were talking just a moment ago about people going to work and those who aren't going to work. And we know why they're not going to work, because every restaurant owner that I know in Chicago has to pay $20 an hour and more for dishwashers. Okay, and
John, can I just interrupt you for 1 second?
Yes, please.
But they have degrees from the Seven Sisters.
All they have to do is pay their workers more money. That's all they have to. Isn't that creepy the way Biden is whispering?
It's a good Biden
impersonation.
That was.
That was.
They just have to pay their workers more money. And it's like, well, that's great for a guy who's never had a business in his life, never in 45 years hasn't even worked in a real job. And he's telling these small businesses, your friends and my friends and people who run at restaurants and small businesses, just go out and raise your wages. He has no idea. A restaurant, you know what the profit margin is on a restaurant? It's about 2, 3, 4. A good restaurant maybe makes 4 or 5% margin. Even a little, McDonald's or Burger King, they've got these tiny profit margins. You increase their costs right now, you're going to put them right out of business, Joe Biden.
So as to the whispering, it reminds me of the child going mad in the Conrad Aiken story, Silent Snow, Secret Snow. But as far as it was a terrifying story. But as far as the restaurants go, what happened, or all workers, what happens to those workers who can come back now and tell the boss, I'm not ready? What happens to them when the stimulus checks finally run out and they're desperate for a job?
Well, first, a couple points. I have a good friend who lives in Austin, Texas, and he's telling me, sent me this photo yesterday. His office overlooks an employment agency, and he was telling me that for the last 3 or 4 months, very sporadically somebody would walk into the employment office, but it was pretty dormant, pretty empty. And then he showed me a photograph of what it looked like yesterday. Now, why is this important? Because on Saturday, guess what happened in Texas, Dan?
What happened in Texas on Saturday?
They ended the $300 a week unemployment.
Finally, what took them so long?
They quote slashed, as the New York Times would say, they slashed the social safety net. And so all of a sudden he shows me this picture. Guess what? The line is out the door of people going to look for jobs now. It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
It says something else too, and this is not just about the minimum wage. This is about more than half the country being essentially beholden to transfer payments, which is where we're tracking.
Exactly.
But there was this recent study, and this is a sort of an innovative take on an old debate, minimum wage. Craig Richardson, who's an econ professor at Winston-Salem University, he looked at hourly wage at $7.25 versus hourly wage at $15. The fight for 15, which we've been debating for the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And once you factor in all the social benefits and what you get at the $7.25 an hour versus what you get at the $15 an hour, the total monthly benefits and after-tax income, the separation for double the hourly wage is less than $200. That's how expanded the social welfare benefits are, even as you go up from $7.25 to $15.
Right.
We see in the expanded unemployment benefits that are temporary, like you were saying, but all the child tax credits, all of this stuff, it's just the creep up the income scale to make everybody or a majority dependent on transfer payments.
So in Illinois, as you know, Casey Mulligan did this study for us at the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. It was in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago, and we looked at the average benefit package that a family of 4 can get in Illinois, and then the maximum benefit. And the average benefit is the equivalent of about $15 to $16 an hour, a job. Having a job. In other words, you're getting the benefits the equivalent of going out and getting a $16 job. But the maximum benefit that people can get is up to $28 an hour. Now, how can a restaurant get kitchen help? How can you possibly compete with that? And by the way, this gets to John's point. Having people unemployed now for almost 18 months is a terrible thing. Every study, even Brookings Institute left-wing groups show the longer people stay unemployed, the worse it is for them, even if we're paying them, and especially when we're paying them to stay unemployed. It leads to a sclerosis of their job skills. It has negative effects on their family, on their kids. Unemployment is a bad thing. Work is a good thing. There's dignity. There's purpose in getting up and going to work. And we're...
But you don't understand. You don't understand what the Democrats want to give us is one style of shoe. Perhaps orange that we could get at the store, and the other thing is vodka for everybody, right? And then we're fine.
Well, the question I asked you guys, I know you're doing that questioning, but do you think this is purposeful? I mean,
Yes.
are they really just trying to make everyone dependent on government?
Of course.
Of course they are.
Because if they are, they're succeeding. If that's their mission, I got to give them credit. They're succeeding.
That's right. A dependent is a loyal constituent. Steve Moore, economist, Wall Street Journal columnist, Trumponomics author. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, by the way, one thing on the way out.
Yes.
I'm very happy 4th of July.
that Biden impersonation may be even creepier than Creepshow Joe. That's how good it is.
Thank you, Conrad Aiken.
Steve, happy Independence Day. Talk to you later. He joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, so I've moved on from beatboxing, woo, 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 to scatting. Seriously, though, folks, now is the time to scat your way over to our good friends at United Faith Mortgage. Home prices are at an all-time high, while mortgage rates are still very low. So if your kid's going to college in the fall, maybe consider a cash-out refinance now while the rates are still low. Home values have gone up so much over the past few months. Most of us have a significant chunk of extra money or equity in our homes, and that's extra money that you can easily cash out with our good friends at United Faith Mortgage. They've worked with thousands of listeners across the U.S. to take advantage of the surprise in their home to use for paying off credit cards or college debt. Whether you're buying new, refinancing, or need a VA loan, United Faith Mortgage is the company to work with.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Brecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
If you have school-age children, you're thinking about summer, not back to school, but before you know it, it'll be time to go back to school, perhaps. Can you say with confidence you know what school will look like for your child this fall? Have you noticed all the Delta variant hysteria, particularly in Illinois? Will they be back in the classroom 5 days a week come the fall? Thousands of private school students were in person in school for the past school year and will be again in the fall. If you've ever thought about private school but didn't think you could afford it, think again. The most affordable way to send your child to a private Christian school is through halfpriceschools.com. Right now, vouchers are available for 50%, half off the normal tuition for private schools across Chicagoland, including Faith Evangelical Lutheran in Antioch, Ravenswood Baptist Christian in Chicago, Trinity Lutheran in Roselle, Chicago Hope Academy on the near west side of the city, and many more. So go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private school near you, purchase a voucher today. Then you can prepare to send your child back to school this fall in classroom to a school you can trust. Visit halfpriceschools.com today.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell